How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Comic Book Flashback. I'm Marvel Cross 316, and we are looking at Deadpool issue number 2 in this limited four-part series. It's from 1994, and we're looking at September's issue of this series. And we look on the cover today, and we have Deadpool going up against a very angry Juggernaut. Man, we got a tale to look at today, y'all, as we continue to look at this series. So let's go ahead now and get started. We begin with a little bit of a flashback, no pun intended here, of basically we have Sean Cassidy and his good friend Daniel Payor. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's either Payor or Payer. But anyway, they're on this big mission here. This is way back in the day, and they're basically on this mission here to stop this guy named the mobster's name is Almodovar, and his warring syndicates, and including Amahal Farouk, who's also a big name in the X-Men comics, have posted $1 million tag on this guy's head here, and they're basically going to go and take this guy out as he is in this building here. And so we see here that Sean Cassidy and Daniel Payor is basically going to sneak on in, and they're like, "Where are the guards at?" I said, "What's he using for security? Motion directors, heat sensors?" And we see here that then Sean Cassidy is going to then strike a match here, and he said it's infrared. And so, as basically what Sean Cassidy does is we know he is the Banshee. He uses his sonic scream, but puts it at a low pitch, but still that low pitch is able to break that infrared beams here so that they can then sneak into the building without getting caught. And so we see here Payor's like, "Nice work. One of these days, you'll have to teach me some of your little tricks. But for now, I'll take east. You go west." So they split up here, and all of a sudden, we see that Sean Cassidy is then confronted by this guy here with a gun. And he says, "Sadly, I cannot oblige. My hand is a bit full at the moment." And so, before we continue to look at, and we see Deadpool is going to dive in through this window here. Got to give credit where credit is due. This issue is brought to you by Mark Wade, who wrote this issue, Ian Churchill, and Lee Weeks on the penciling. We have J. Miner, B. McLeod, and B. LaRosa as on the inking. We have Starking's Comic Craft as the lettering, and Moorshed and Thomas on the coloring. Suzanne Gaffney, the editing, Bob Harris, group editor, and Tom DeFalco, the head Merc. And so let's go ahead now, continue with this issue. And so we see here that Deadpool is going to interrupt the action here, basically saying, "Baby, long time no extort. How you been? Still beating the wife?" Deadpool always has those jokes here, and basically shoots this guy to death. He kills this guy, saving Sean Cassidy. He doesn't know that this is Sean Cassidy at the time. This is the first time that Sean Cassidy met Deadpool, as far as I'm concerned. It could be wrong, but we see here that Deadpool basically saved this guy, and we see Sean Cassidy's like, "You just killed him in cold blood." So then we see that Payor comes around the corner, and he's like, "I heard shots. Are you? Oh geez, tell me you didn't." And Sean Cassidy's like, "I didn't do this, Payor. It was Deadpool." And so we're going to soon see, as the days go and years go by, we're going to see Sean Cassidy's going to pay a visit to Daniel Payor as he's looking at this old, basically, identification card here. And we see here that as a long time ago it was when I pulled myself out of the company, needed to go my own way after my wife died, and I think I've come pretty far without this crazy business. I wish to heaven I could say the same for you. So he's listening to this music, and finally Daniel Payor comes on the scene. He said, "Sean, how you been? It's been years since I've seen you, ever since the Almodovar run." And we see Cassie ask, "Are you still burning over that?" And he said, "Nah, waste the energy. You asked me, upward mobility is highly overrated. Day shifts, fancy titles, who needs the pressure? Besides, how long can even I hold a grudge against one showy merc?" So they've known each other for a while. So basically, Sean Cassidy's going to cut the business here. He's like, look, I need information, a lead, if possible, to Tom's whereabouts. We know that Black Tom Cassidy has this disease, and we know that even though Black Tom Cassidy has been a rival of the X-Men for a long time, we know that Sean Cassidy is related to Black Tom Cassidy. They're cousins, and he's just trying to look for his safety. He doesn't want any harm to come to him, even though they've been enemies for a long time. So he basically wants to get some info on where Deadpool is, and he's basically going to send Daniel Payor to get Deadpool. So he's like, Alphabet City, eh? Gotcha, Deadpool. And so now we return. We left off from last issue, and we know that one of Black Tom Cassidy's soldiers cut off the hand of Deadpool, and Deadpool basically blacked out. He was teaming with Sean Cassidy's daughter, Siryn, and we see here that he finally wakes up, and he's been bandaged up here, and we know for certain that something is up with Deadpool's powers. Usually, if he loses like a arm or something or a hand per se, we know that it will grow back in minutes, but it's taking hours for it to finally grow back, and we see that as he concentrates, his hand finally grows back here, but it took hours instead of minutes. So something's up with Deadpool's healing ability, and that's just not good, because if Deadpool gets into more trouble, we're going to have to worry about, is Deadpool going to even survive another round of bullets, or even as we're going to see him come up against the Juggernaut. And so we see that they're basically talking about, why Deadpool's powers is acting this way. And we see Siryn's trying to calm him down, but we see that one of Black Tom Cassidy's men is basically spying in on the conversation, and it's being reported to Black Tom Cassidy. Black Tom Cassidy, in a rage, has said, nobody told me, I have no idea Teresa, that's her name, Siryn's name, was involved in this. God pity the soldier who harms one single hair on her head. Attention main team, effective immediately, no one attacks Deadpool without first removing Siryn from the crossfire. And so the more agitated Black Tom Cassidy gets, the more pain he's going to experience. We know that Dr. Killebrew is basically promising to cure Black Tom Cassidy of this if they can finally get Deadpool and bring him to this lab. And so we're seeing that Black Tom Cassidy is going to send the Juggernaut to get Deadpool. And so that's what we're going to see here. We know that basically Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy have been best friends for a very long time, ever since the 70s. And we're going to see here that here in 1994, as they're still good friends, Juggernaut is going to trust that Dr. Killebrew is not going to do anything to his friend. So Juggernaut's been sent on a mission. We see that Black Tom Cassidy's soldiers have been given this new order to not harm Siryn here, as Siryn is related to Black Tom Cassidy. So they break into the room here. Deadpool takes them off guard, and this is funny. He says, in the immortal words of Clark, what's his name, making a reference to basically Superman, bashing Superman, up, up, and away here. So that's pretty cool. And they're like, fire, fire. So they're trying not to harm Siryn, but they got to take down Deadpool and bring him back to the lair of Black Tom Cassidy. We see Deadpool's protecting Siryn as much as he can, and Siryn wants to use her sonic scream, but then one of the soldiers covers her with this, it looks like some kind of mask or something that's over her head. So now you see Deadpool is in a bit of trouble here, as all these soldiers can do a lot of harm to him, and he's taking a lot of bullets. But Deadpool begins to take out his sword here, and he says, Juggernaut's right behind you. And they're like, what? And it takes him off guard, and he's going to go into action here. But he's taking a lot of damage here, a lot of bullet wounds, so that's not good. And Deadpool's holding himself by himself. We see that Siryn uses her sonic scream to finally break that mask off of herself, and then she's basically going to tell Deadpool, we need to get out of here. So they crash through this window. They land on a bunch of boxes below, and this is just the beginning of the trouble that they're going to get into here. Siryn says, you should not have taken so much punishment, all that gunfire. And he's, oh, it's just flesh wounds. And all of a sudden, we see here that Juggernaut arrives on the scene. Now, Deadpool and Siryn are going to have to face the Juggernaut, a very angry Juggernaut here. And this is just getting more crazy as the issue continues to go. Fourth, we see Deadpool is going to then throw a bunch of looks like kitchen knives at Juggernaut, like that can do anything to Juggernaut. And he's like, clever. All the time, guys are slowing me down with cannons and concrete. Meat cleavers is a new way to go. I'll give you that much. But they don't hurt. Nothing hurts the Juggernaut, simp. Shame the same can be said for you. And he starts to throw these knives at Deadpool. And Siryn says, Deadpool, duck, duck. But he takes in a bunch of these knives here, cuts them up, and he's like, And then he's like, where's the witty patter, creepo? I thought that tongue of yours was razor sharp. What the? And then he's basically saying, Siryn, get out of the way. But we see Siryn then uses her sonic scream to break the knives. And so just a lot of action taking place here. Great storytelling, great artwork. And he's like, where did he go? And then we're going to see that Deadpool is going to pour this big vat of lava on the Juggernaut. So that's not cool. Juggernaut then gets out of the lava. So even lava can't slow down the Juggernaut, as we soon see. So Juggernaut, once again, very hard to beat here. So Deadpool and Siryn try to then run away, but then they're going to run up against none other than Daniel, the guy that Sean Cassidy sent to go after Deadpool. And so he basically says, good news, Merc. Tonight I get to take your name off the Interpol's most wanted list and carve it on a tombstone. And so that's how we end this issue. What's going to happen up next as we see that now Deadpool has to worry about Juggernaut, but not only Juggernaut, but also Daniel Payor. And what does Daniel Payor have up his sleeve? We'll soon find out, as next issue's title is Sand Deadpool Witch. So we'll be looking at issue number 3 in this 4-part series. I hope to see you there. And until next time, keep reading comics.